I'm hoping we can get all of this done in time, but in case do you know what, I'm actually going to pop you all on mute because I can hear my voice ricocheting back. Fabulous. Okay, you're all been shut up, but feel free to unmute yourself at any point. Yeah, I'm hoping that we can get this done within the 90 minutes and finish at 12:30. But if I run over a little bit, hopefully that is okay with you. If it's not okay, don't worry. Dip yourself out, and I'll send you the recording afterwards so you can always catch up on the last little bit. But hopefully it's going to run all to time. She says starting 13 minutes late, but hey, that's all good. That's life. Okay, so welcome. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on our little workshop, and kudos to you for kind of giving yourself some space and time to work on your mindset, which is something that not everybody does, but is so important because it can make the world of difference to how we live our lives. And today our session is focused on goal setting, but we're wanting to do it in a way which is a way that I've found to be so much more beneficial for me actually feeling motivated and like excited to go and get it done. And every time I've done it in this manner, in like this strategy, I've actually found way more results as opposed to ones where I've just like plucked out an idea of something that I want to do and then I've just not really followed through as much as I want. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Can you see that? Oh,
yes.
Thank you, Erin. I was going to say I can't see you all now. Okay, cool. So this is our 90-minute mindset workshop. Let's do this. Before we start, I'm going to do some ground rules. So the main thing that's really important is that you keep an open mind. So the biggest thing that stops our growth in its tracks is by the mind shutting off. And some of the most like common ways of doing this is if you say to yourself, I know this already. So instead of saying, I know this already, rephrase the question and ask yourself, and ask it as a question, what can I learn from this? And by phrasing it as a question, it opens up, your mind then starts to seek out the answers as opposed to shutting off and not searching any further. And then the other one, which is very popular, is this won't work for me. So then instead of looking at it like that, or if you find yourself thinking that, then rephrase it as a question, how can this work for me? The other one, which I haven't put on here, which is a real, I know I'm really guilty of this sometimes, or I catch myself doing it, is when I say, I don't know. And that's when I have come to the end of, I can't think of the answer, and I say, I don't know. So if you're finding yourself saying that or thinking that, then try to re-ask the question again in a different way so that you can help to then start explore different answers. Okay, cool. So this is a goal setting workshop, but actually the word goal doesn't always resonate with everyone. So what does the word goal mean to you? So with your little pen and paper and your notepad, I want you to just write out what the word goal means to you and how you feel about it. So I looked up one definition, and it's an object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired results. And I think what's really important is to kind of recognize whether the word goal sets your heart racing for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons. And it might be that another word actually resonates with you better and makes you feel a little bit more like the energy around it feels better for you. So it might be desire or intention or commitment or want or target or accomplishment or result. That's another one. So I want you to just have a little think about what word actually feels best for you. You might find that goal works really well for you when you think, no, actually that feels good. That gets me energized. Or you might find that the word goal reminds you of school and drains you of energy and makes you want to run back into your duvet and climb into bed. And actually the word intention resonates with you better. So just have a little think about what word feels best for you. And then I'm going to come and check in with you guys and see what word does work best for you. Oh dear, how do I do this now? Stop screen share. Okay. Lovely. So I'm going to, because I can't unmute you, I'm going to just ask you one at a time. So I'm going to start with you, Shalali. What word works best for you? What words have you decided?
I'm generally, the word go has a positive connotation for me, but also like commitment as well, because like that's something that I really struggle with. So like that's why commitment, but obviously I can reach my goals through commitment. So there's a couple words. So, yeah.
Nice, good. And I'm just going to introduce you to something right from the get-go. So, and I know some of the people who I've worked with before, George, Aaron, you'll know this anyway. If we say I, or like all of me, then it can feel quite consuming. And I found that what works really well for me is that I say things like a part of me. And you said, the reason why I brought it up is because you said to yourself, I really struggle with commitment. And actually, maybe if you rephrased it and said, a part of me struggles with commitment, because actually a part of you is great with commitment, because I know it and I see it every single time that you come to class every single week, or how much work you put into your day-to-day work, because I know at the moment you're working craziness. So just as a thought, as it popped up, maybe rephrase it and say, a part of me struggles with commitment, but another part of me is great with commitment. And it's just about shifting how we speak so that actually you can get more out of it. Anyway, that was a kind of a side note, but love that you put goal and commitment. That's good. Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to ask you to remute, and I'm going to go over to Georgia. So not you, George. There's two, so it's confusing, but not you, George. Georgia.
So I put aspiration, because when I think of goals, I think of like what I aspire to, maybe a bit like a destination and what I want in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Lovely. Good. George, what about you, my love?
Apologies, because I just put a mint in my mouth, so I didn't know you were going to get me
to come back to you.
So I have got a mint. I've actually got two, so I did put commitment, because I just feel really passionate about, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So commitment is a really positive. If I've committed, then that's it. I'm doing it, and there's no way around it. But I've also put target, because I don't know if that's because I've historically worked in a lot of sales positions before, and target has always been really positive thing for me. I guess quite stressful. A target can be stressful if someone's putting pressure on you to hit it, but I've always felt really motivated by the word target. So actually, yeah, those two are more appropriate for me than goal.
Cool. Fabulous. Thanks, George. Over to you, Aaron.
Sorry, I was just struggling to unmute myself then.
No problem.
So I wrote, when you asked us what the word goal means to us, I wrote, it is a thing that I either want or need to achieve. And I also wrote that it's a word that we can attach to a measurable outcome when we're trying to kind of record our progress in a certain area. And then as far as the word goal itself, I think it's quite a positive word for me. It's fine. I like it. It works for me. But I've also written down at the bottom intention and target. I've written two because I think intention might work better for me when sometimes I might be wanting to set a certain goal. If it's kind of attached to something like an ongoing behavior, like like, sorry, maybe doesn't sound like I don't make much sense. If it's something like wanting to be more grateful and respectful to the team members that work for me, or if it's something like I want to eat healthier, I think the word goal for me might have the danger of it kind of feeling a bit temporary. So
Yeah.
if I'm saying I want to eat more healthily and I'm saying it's a goal, it's kind of like, well, I might just eat healthy for a bit. Whereas if I set that as an intention,
It
to
becomes
me,
more
I think that might help me kind of integrate that as kind of just part of my life and my day-to-day being and my intention. But I've written the word target as well, because some goals, like, for example, I need to get 30 new clients next month. I like the word target for that because I haven't worked in corporate world or sales like George has, but I'm trying to I am making the kind of numbers and the measurable side of my business a little bit more efficient. And I think the word target serves our purpose better for when I'm communicating with my team.
Nice. Good. And just on that, it might be worth finding what word works best for Sun and all your other team, Freya, and see what words set them on fire, make them feel good.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah, it's worth asking, really, isn't it? When we're doing stuff like that, it's worth asking what words work for everybody.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Sarah. Over to you, Rochelle. What word did you decide feels good? Was it goal? Was it something else?
I kind of have mixed feelings about the word goal, because for me, it means something quite rigid. So it's kind of an all or nothing thing. So you've either reached it or you haven't, and you've kind of failed a little bit. So it depends what I'm doing, whether I feel it's kind of appropriate for me, if that makes sense.
It does make
but
sense.
I also prefer the word intention, because it feels more like the journey is as much a part of it as the end point, for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the two that I think.
Feels a little bit, and I completely know what you mean. Like, the word goal can set you up for success, but it could equally set you up for failure and feeling like you've missed the mark almost as well. Okay. Whereas intention is more like what Erin was saying, it can feel more like a way of life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah, nice. Love that. Thanks, Rochelle. Mama B. Or maybe I should call you Rachel so it's more professional. I'm not sure. What would you prefer? No, you're still on mute. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
I'm a bit new to Zoom, so my apologies. I struggle a little bit, or part of me struggles a little bit with the terms sort of goals and targets, because I associate that very much with something happening to me. So business or school saying this is your goal or this is your target. And I liked listening to some of the others' thoughts. I liked the words ambitions and intentions, and the word commitment, because it feels like it's coming from me. It's something that's my aim, my intention to get to my end position, if that makes sense.
Nice. Lovely. Good. Love it, Mum. Love it. Over to you, Kelly. Now, I know I couldn't tell when you joined then for a second. Have you actually seen the slide and know what we're talking about?
Yeah. I joined just about 10 past, as you were saying.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
good.
Good timing. So similar to what a few other people have said, I realised when I started writing it, I've got quite negative connotations to the word goal, and I automatically feel a bit of resistance, or like as if I'm fighting someone, or not actually fighting, but resisting someone or resisting something. And I tend to associate it with so the word goal for me tends to mean like a concrete outcome or something tangible. So I think that automatically makes me feel quite pressured and quite resistant. And also sometimes a bit, failure can feel a strong word, but just not quite reaching it. And then like a little bit of a failure, I guess. I haven't really come up with a good alternative word, because I find a lot of the similar ones like target and intention and stuff can feel quite similar. The problem for me is I tend to prefer sort of much more generalized ideas, but then the downside is that you don't always meet them then, because it's too generalized or too a goal. I see the point of having goals, but I'm just a bit resistant to them.
Okay, what word out of the ones that people have said, like the ones that were on, so there was desire, intention, commitment, want, accomplishment, aspiration, result, out of those words, was there one that you lent to more than the others? It might not feel like 100% this is the right word, but is there one that you thought, okay, out of them, I'm just going to hold on to this one for the time being?
I would say aspiration.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So then as we work through it and go through the whole kind of strategy, you might feel like, actually, I've kind of warmed to the word aspiration, or you might end up just not terming it something in the end and feeling that actually what you're wanting to aspire to fills up enough space instead, rather than kind of putting a label on it, and that might sit better and feel more comfortable for you. Yeah, cool, lovely, thanks Kelly. Over to you, Sarah. How are you doing? What word worked well for you?
The words that work that I like are desire, aspire, purpose, direction, intentions, hope, plan, and aim.
Look at all of these. These are fabulous.
I just like vocabulary. I'm just a vocab person.
Good, good. Love it.
The thing that I'm thinking of in my head when I think about goal is I want to feel passionate and excited about something.
Nice. I quite like that, passion. Good. So which word feels like the right word for you right now?
Right now, probably aim and direction, but then
nice.
I like the passionate, and I want to feel excited. So
good,
might change.
Love that. We might change as we go through the session. Thanks, Sarah, that's fabulous. Maria, darling, you made it. I'm so chuffed. It's so nice to see your face. So beautiful. I know that you came in just a little bit later, but basically I'm sure you've kind of picked up the gist. We're just going through, we're looking at the word goal and how we actually feel about it, and whether it sets our heart racing for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons, and if there's another word that suits you better. So just kind of having listened, do you have something, did the word goal feel good for you, or do you find that actually there's another word that works better for you?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I did look at what it, for me, it was kind of like a desire or an intention being obtained or fulfilled in some way. But then sometimes it feels like looking for a bit of a finish line, which is an illusion almost. I do have resistance towards it, because there's moments where I feel that goal setting takes me away from the present moment, and I'm looking too far into the future at things which haven't happened. So it kind of almost makes me feel like I'm not being mindful sometimes when that happens, because I'm leaping too far ahead. It's really weird. It's but then I try to look at it in another way of thinking, what things do I want to do which I find really nourishing to my soul, and that make me that give me a sense of purpose. So it's mixed feelings, like some of the other people, where there is it was looking at, why do I have resistance to it? And I think the resistance is the thing of not feeling like you're present sometimes with that. You
That's
create
such
too much of a
yeah.
yearning, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So mixed feelings, really. So this is where I think for myself and maybe others, it's finding that sense of clarity towards goal setting, if that makes sense.
Well, hopefully we can achieve that for you today, or heading towards that. Okay, so if you had to pick one word, what word would feel best for you right now? And like I was saying to Kelly, it doesn't have to be the perfect word that makes you be like, okay, yeah, this is absolutely the one, but one that we can use today as a little replacement for goal that makes you feel better than the word goal. I know you said the word desire, so I wasn't sure whether that was perhaps one that made you feel excited.
I think purpose is a good one, and it's kind of like fulfilling things, isn't it, that you want to do? So
Yeah, maybe fulfillment then.
fulfillment, yeah.
Nice. Good. Great work. Well done you. I think I've gone through everybody. Is there anybody that I've not spoken to? No. Shout up if that is the case. Okay, fabulous. Really, really good. I'm dead chuffed that everyone's got their words that feel good for today. So our next, can you see the slides? I've just gone back to the slides.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Erin. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to work on is actually deciding what we want. And I think it's an important note. If you feel anxious because you don't know what big life goal is right now, like, don't worry. Not knowing is more common than you might think, and some of us have been busy pleasing other people and suppressing our own dreams and desires and aspirations for so long that we've kind of lost touch with what they are. And these are just some of the prompts that I find work really nicely for me. So if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about your life, what would it be? If you had 2 extra hours a day, what would you do with your time? What breaks your heart or pees you off about your life, work, or the world? What is one thing that you don't like about your life? And then look at that as what the opposite is. So if, for example, I hate working Fridays, then you might change it as, I want to have a 4-day week, as an example. And then another prompt could be, finish the sentence, wouldn't it be cool if? And then let your heart go crazy. So what I want you to do is pick one of these prompts, whichever one speaks to you most, and we're going to take a couple of minutes to write anything that comes to mind. Now, I know in some of the prompts it refers to one thing. You are welcome to, if it feels right to write down more than one thing, then just let yourself do that. Or if you want to just write the one thing that feels really good to you, then go with that. So just take a couple of minutes to just write out what feels best. And then when you're done, give me a little thumbs up. Okay, now I actually can't see you anymore because my screen has suddenly just gone blank. So maybe unmute yourself and let me know when you're done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Thanks, George. I'll give you a couple more seconds.
I'm done.
Lovely, thank you. Oh, my screen's back, fabulous. I have that really annoying thing where my screen just goes blank.
I'm just struggling a little bit because I don't really have anything I don't like about my life anymore.
Well, maybe think about, wouldn't it be cool if? What could you add rather than something that you don't want? Think about what
just focus on the next one.
Yeah.
It's a nice position to be in, though, Aaron, to be fair.
Yeah,
He's
it
not
is.
wrong.
Yeah, so it's not a stressful thing. It's nice.
So what could it enhance it even more?
Yeah.
Not being in lockdown.
I think we've all put that on our list.
I love that.
Okay, I'm going to give you 10 more seconds. Okay, lovely, good, fabulous. Now, if you have written out a list or you've got lots of different ideas, then what I want you to do is just pick one. Because as the wonderful proverb goes, if you run after two hares, you'll catch neither. And it's not about that you won't do all of the things on your list. It's just about focusing on just one at a time. Because you'll get way more success that way. Now, when we've written out our goal, aspiration, purpose, intention, anything, and whatever word you have, it's about making it feel good. So what I want us to do is chunk it down and get it crystal clear. So first off, I want you to have a little look at your sentence and see if you've phrased it in a way that is positive. And what I mean by that is, if, for example, so I did this session, I ran it through with my sister last night, one of them, Nikki, in case you know the fan. And her goal was to feel less overwhelmed. Well, actually, we actually want to think about it in more of a positive way. So instead of thinking, I want to feel less overwhelmed, we actually want to be looking at it in the positive and think, I want to feel calm and balanced. And they were the words that felt good for her. So just have a little think. If you've written it in a way where there's some negative word, then basically that's what you're wishing for. So if you've put the word overwhelm in there for as the example, then you want to go ahead and remove that out, because basically you'll then be wishing to be overwhelmed. Instead, you want to be looking at what you do want. So you want to feel calm, balanced, in control, as other alternative examples.
And whelmed.
What was that, sorry?
Calm, balanced and whelmed.
Whelmed, underwhelmed, hopefully not, just whelm. And then you want to think about stating your goal in a way that you or anybody else could actually measure. So you want to think about it as a way that you know once you've achieved it. And then finally, I find it really helpful for me to add a time frame. Now, if this actually sparks off and makes you feel any resistance and makes you suddenly feel like heavy or like the pressure's on but not in the right way, then take the time frame out, because it does make such a difference whether it makes you feel good or not. So I've done a couple of different examples so it kind of helps to make sense. So if someone is put, for an example, they want to get into shape, then one of their goals, to reword it, you could say that you want to be able to climb to the top of a pole within 30 days. So it's a lot more measurable and it's got like a time frame in it. And then for me, obviously, because I love pole, that makes me feel excited. Like I want to be able to climb to the top of a pole within 30 days. Or if you want to form a habit of working out, consistently, then maybe the one just below that, work out 5 days a week for 30 minutes for the next 4 weeks, kind of feels better for you. So what I want you to think about is the goal worded in a way that inspires you? What energy do you have around the goal? And what energy do you wish to put out to the universe about this goal? Because if you've written it in a way that makes you feel like you want to stay in bed, then chances are you don't feel good about it, and you're not going to go after it in the way that makes you feel really good. I've just done one other example. So if, for example, you might have said something like, stop feeling overwhelmed and stressed out trying to build your new floristry business, as an example. So instead you could reword that in, grow my floristry business by 100 new clients in the next 90 days, whilst taking weekends off to spend time with my family. So that actually you've got that balance in there with, you've looked at what does not being overwhelmed and stressed out mean. Oh, it means actually I've got plenty of rest and I've still got my priorities and my balance. So that might for you look like weekends off with your family, as an example. Does anybody have any questions about their goal, or if you wanted to double check it with me or anything like that? If you do, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask away.
Becky, I have a question. So
Yes.
if your goal is slightly less tangible, like say, oh, you want to stop caring less about what other people think, how can you measure that? Like, how do you impose a time frame on that?
Okay, so you've got, I want to care less about what people think. So what is it about caring less, or what is it about caring about what people think? How does that make you feel, and when do you see yourself doing it?
It's mainly that, just in the fear of being misunderstood, especially at work or whatever, because it's really complicated. And I mean, I know that my intentions are right and I mean well, but you know, I don't have control over how the other person might interpret me, and I'm always very afraid that they might misinterpret me, and you know, they may end up thinking negatively, or just because it's not being conveyed properly. So
okay, and how does that make you act in keep going with your work environment? How does that make you act around other people?
It's very stressful, and I spend a lot of time and energy ensuring that I'm like communicating correctly or putting everything in place so that nothing can be misunderstood.
Can I add something? Because I think a good word would be like freedom. You want the freedom not to kind of care. So giving yourself the freedom.
Yeah. I think also we want to make it quite specific. So if yours is in your work environment, that's one occasion that you feel it, then it's about perhaps feeling confident with what you're putting out will be understood.
Yeah. Because
ultimately we don't have control over what anybody else thinks at any point in our life. We never will, and we never have. And I think, in fact, let me ask you, if you were not worrying about how others would think about you, what would that look like to you?
Look like, I don't know, but I feel as if I have a lot more energy and I can actually focus on things that matter more and you know, deliver better. Because it's really tiresome to constantly be obsessed with that. But anyway.
So would it mean freedom from, sorry to interrupt, would it for you mean like freedom from that fear of judgment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like
maybe your goal could be, sorry Maria, maybe it could be that your goal is that you place your energy into things that matter, and maybe you need to think specifically what that is, so that if you went into your work day and you put more energy into, I don't know, whatever sets your heart on fire, and focus more of your energy on that, you would then turn around in a month's time and think, oh my God, actually, I've been building up my sustainability project, or whatever it is, or you've built a whole new relationship with an India team, or whatever, any example. So you're actually putting more of your energy into the thing that you want to achieve. So you saying to me, or this is what I've heard, is that you want to feel like you've got more energy and putting it into things that matter more to you. So maybe you need to think about what matters more to you. What project is it that actually you want to shift your focus towards? Do you have an example?
Yes, no, I do. So at work, there's 30 things that I'm spoiled for choice when it comes to deciding what I want to work on. And it's unfair because it's like I have to learn to pick my vows. So if I pick this, it's gonna be at the cost of another follow-up action that I have. But the to me bit really resonates, because it's like, if there's a project that involves a lot more coding than non-coding work, so I'd rather invest my time a lot more on the coding project, even if it means that I might be told off if I haven't followed up on something else, because I just have to learn to pick what matters to me. So I guess I can justify it and be like, I care more about this, so I rather invest my energy here.
Okay, so perhaps your goal or commitment, was that the word that felt good for you? Was the word commitment one? So maybe your goal or your commitment is that you feel confident in prioritizing your workload on projects that matter to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that feel good? Does it feel better than stop caring about what other people think as much?
I think so, because the other follow-up actions I have, I can't get too technical about it, but the motivation for that is so that this other person feels good about it, because they would benefit, or the team might benefit, but with this one I would benefit a lot more from doing it. So yeah, I guess, yes.
We can always, and think also, please bear this in mind as we go through it. So you'll see on the next slide, in fact I'll show you it now, we're going through like a triangular structure. You can always, as you build up the triangle or the pyramid, you might want to tweak it afterwards and find, actually this, I'm just going to change that word, that feels better for me now, as you kind of build up and head towards it. But good, that I hope that's helped, Shalali, really good. And so on this note, now that we're on the next slide, I want you to draw out a big triangle and add in 4 lines so that it creates 5 layers. And then write in the top triangle, or the top layer, write in your favourite word for goal, whatever that is. And then write out whatever your goal, commitment, aspiration is, either next to it if it's too small, or inside, depending on how long it is. Lovely. So now, once you've done that, now we've got our goal, or a work in progress goal. We're going to jump to the bottom of the pyramid and start to build up the strong foundation. So at the bottom is our purpose or intention, or what I like to refer to as the big why. So it's kind of the motivation that fuels why you're actually doing something and why you've got this commitment or aspiration in the first place. So with the big why, I want you to ask yourself, or actually I'm going to ask, and I want you to write down the responses to, you might find that one of these questions really hits you and you can then answer that, or you might find a couple of them. So what is your purpose and what are you trying to achieve? Is your purpose aligned to your goal? Why is it that you want to achieve your goal? How does this goal fit with your purpose? Who is going to benefit from this purpose? And often we think of ourselves in just one light, but I want you to maybe take a little moment to think of it in terms of you as an intuitive being, as the mental side, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the physical side. And it might help to spark a different way of looking at it. So why is it that you're doing what you're doing, or what you're setting out to do?
So are all of these questions going in the bottom part of the triangle?
You don't need to put all of the questions in. I want you to write an answer to one or two of the questions, whatever feels right. So for you, I didn't check in with what your goal was, sorry, Georgia. But if, for example, you've popped your goal at the top, underneath, you might then put the reason why you're actually wanting to do it. So as an example, and I'm just going to shoot out here, your goal could be, for example, I want to build my business and grow by 100 clients in the next 90 days. So your purpose might be, I want to have a more balanced lifestyle where I can connect with people that in a heart-centered business. This is what I'm growing. As an example of why you're actually doing, why do you want to grow your business? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Good. Lovely. Okay, good. And then I'm just going to scroll up to the next slide. So this one is a biggie. So the next layer of the triangle is our beliefs. So as Rolf Waldo Emerson once said, the ancestor of every action is a thought. And I believe that behind all of our thoughts, our belief influences it. So our belief and what our belief system is influences our thoughts, which stir up feelings that then change our behaviours, which in turn alter our results. So if I believed that I was rubbish at something, then chances are I'm not going to think, oh yeah, I'm going to go and start doing that, because that will then make me feel low and rubbish, more rubbishy about myself, and I will create small behaviours which won't deliver the results that I wanted. Whereas if I felt ambitious, if I believe that I'm ambitious, then the thoughts that would therefore incur would probably be ambitious ones, and ones that are big and bold and brave, and therefore I'm going to feel a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit excited, a bit exhilarated, and that's going to create, my behaviours will be perhaps stronger, more confident, maybe more risk taking, which in turn will give me completely different results. And it's all kind of based on what we believe. So what I want us to do is just look around where we are right now. So just where you're sat, and I want you to notice every single item within your eye shot. So what you're sat on, what devices are near you, what you're wearing, all the big objects, all the furniture, all the small objects that surround you. So for me, what I see is I've got my laptop in front of me. I've got various wires so that I keep charged. I've got a recording on my phone. I've got my wardrobe over there in my bed, so I'm looking onto my bedroom. I've got a lovely colourful throw on my bed. I've got a pole in the corner of my room. I've got the carpet underneath my feet, and really actually I've got my slippers on, so my fluffy slippers. I've got a picture on the wall just next to me. I've got a whole bookshelf of books which are super inspiring. I've got my lovely mug. I've got my alarm clock so that I can actually keep time. There's so many kind of different things around me. So I want you to just take a little moment. I've got my clothes on, I've got my ring. Just to take a little moment to think about what you can see around you. And there's literally hundreds, thousands of things that you can probably see within your eye shot right now. And if you think about it, every single thing that surrounds you was once only a thought, an idea, a figment of someone's imagination. So really, our minds are magical creation machines. And behind each and every single thought and idea are our beliefs, which determine how we go out and what we think and what we do and how we feel and all of our behaviours and everything that we achieve in life. So I want you to write down a belief that you need to have to achieve your goal, and then you can add that into the triangle on the belief layer or next to it. And what I mean by this, as an example, so I'll go back. So I did my goal setting triangle a few months ago, and my goal, just to give you an idea, so my goal was I want my business to be running as a team by July 2020. And the belief that I felt I needed to have in order for me to achieve that is that a big part of me believes that when I bring people together, I create a safe environment so they can open up and access their own awesomeness. So for me to feel confident in building a team, that was a belief that I needed to have about myself. If that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions on that? Or does that make sense? So just writing down a belief that you need to have to achieve your goal.
I have a question.
Fire, Erin.
Is it okay if we are writing a belief, but part of us doesn't believe it yet?
Yes, great question. And yes, absolutely. So if, for example, your goal was that you're gonna, you'd written it initially that you're getting into shape, and then you decided that actually you're rewording it and you're going to climb to the top of the pole within 30 days. And your belief is that you're a hot, sexy lady. Obviously not for you, Erin, but you might believe that if you wanted to.
Those are my beliefs.
Those are your beliefs. You are a hot, sexy mama. And that part of you doesn't believe that right now, then that's why I phrase mine as a big part of me believes this, or a part of me believes this. So you don't need to have the whole of you convinced by this action. I was chatting to somebody the other day, and she was wanting to do a webinar, and she's been putting it off because she felt ugly and fat and frumpy, and that she didn't want to be seen on screen, because why would anybody take her advice if she looked all fat, frumpy and disgusting on screen, her words. And her belief that she wanted to have was that she was attractive, but she did not believe it at all. And even a part of her didn't believe it. So we kind of relooked at it in a way of refocusing on a small part believes that what you say and what you've got to give is more important than what you feel about how you look. So it was kind of like shifting it so that it was a focus that was more believable for her in that moment. So you could do it as a part of me believes I'm attractive and that I've got things worth to say, and that could have felt good. But if we then shuffled it again and found that actually we reworded it and said the words and what I've got to say, I believe, are more important than my fears and insecurities about what I look like, and that's why I still am going to go and do this. So you can put it as part of you, but if none of you believes that, then maybe look at it shuffling it around in that way. Does that help answer your question? Thanks, darling. Does anybody else have any other questions on this one? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Becky. I'm battling with how to replace the feeling of feeling selfish if I'm not there for others.
Remind me what your goal is.
I just really want to generate a consistent source of income, and I want to just feel a sense of freedom and choice, really. But I feel like I'm juggling a lot of plates, and I'm trying to be there a lot for my loved ones. And so there's always a feeling of selfishness around trying to please certain things I can't explain. I just want to find balance, really.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Does having a more stable income help other people?
It does, yeah, because it means I can kind of...
because I know you, and I know that you will be the first person to look after your grandson, to look after Demi.
Yeah, it's...
Can I just say something, please?
Yeah, of course, Sarah, go ahead.
You've got to remember, if you don't look after yourself and your well-being, how can you look after other people?
Sorry, who am I speaking to?
My name's Sarah.
Sorry, because it's on my iPhone. Where are you, Zara?
Trust it, babe.
I'm at home.
Yeah, there you are. There you are. Sorry, I had to scroll through. No, you're absolutely right. But the moment I try to do something for myself, I'll either get a phone call or my mum saying I'm not feeling well, and then I drop everything because I need to be there for them. So I don't know where to find that initial balance to fully fill up the cup, if that makes sense. I can't. Yeah. This is the battle I'm having, of distinguishing between being the carer, the career woman. Compartmentalizing seems to be a huge issue at the moment to even begin to set goals. It's spaghetti junction, I'm afraid. I shouldn't really laugh, but...
Do you use a diary?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a planner, and I do try to make a list. And I made a list the other day of all the things I had to do. And then another crisis occurred, and that it all went wrong. And I started to feel that I'm not even keeping up with my own life.
The thing is, I think as well, you've got to be kind to yourself. And if things do go wrong, just kind of, accept it. I know it's difficult, but, you know, everybody has bad days and tomorrow's a new day. But be kind to yourself.
I think the saying no is the hardest thing. Maybe it should be...
I definitely think that boundaries is perhaps a word that you need to spend some time with.
Yeah, boundaries, that's the one.
And by having time for your mum, having time for Demi, having time for your grandson, having time for your work that you're passionate about, having time for Pole, like all of these things are important, and that fill you up and fill you with a life that makes you feel fulfilled, which is ultimately what your goal word was. So it's about perhaps, and the reason why I asked about your planner is that perhaps you schedule in chunks of time for other people so that you don't feel like you're neglecting other people, but you're still giving time for yourself and your priorities as well. And like Sarah very rightly said, you've got to look after yourself and be kind to yourself to make sure that you're at your best to then pass that on and help other people.
Yeah, that's the thing though, when I have tried to schedule in time for others and said, look, I'm doing this and this at this time.
Yeah.
They don't. It feels like control because they're never available at those times.
Okay.
You know, like,
well, you can always renegotiate, but it's just about not jeopardizing or negotiating over some key bits that are good for you as well. So things like your work, so that you can generate a more stable income. That might be a non-negotiable. Whereas other things that are around your life, you can renegotiate. And if your mum said, oh, I really need you to help with picking up the shopping this week, then you can say, great, I can do that on Tuesday afternoon. And if she says, actually, can we do Tuesday morning? You can say, no, I can't do Tuesday morning, but I can do Monday afternoon, or I can do Wednesday morning. So that you are offering that flexibility. But does that feel like you could get a better balance with it that way?
I think as also people, if you always change your plans for other people, people expect that. So when they say, oh no, can you do it on this day? You need to kind of say no to people so that they learn that you're going to say no.
I said I'd take my mum shopping yesterday just to get her out and let her choose, because I've been bringing her shopping.
Yeah.
She just wasn't ready. And then she said, I'm actually hungry now and I want to eat something before we leave. And
life never goes to plan, does it?
And I'm having to wait around, and I'm looking at the clock and I'm thinking, I'd really like to do this class on Zoom. I want to do a stretch class. And
I think it's about communication.
I feel like I'm trying to sort of meet and find that balance, but it's kind of like delegating, where you've got to work as a team and people have to be willing to do that. And it's like you're the willing person, but you can't force their sense of will. It's like, does that make sense?
The thing is though, if your behaviour doesn't change, people just will just carry on expecting you to change all the time, and they won't change. So when you start saying, no, I'm doing this, then their behaviour will change, possibly.
So perhaps looking at this in terms of what your belief is, Maria, then maybe we need to look at it in that, do you believe that you deserve to have, or that you're worth a better balanced life where you can give more to others? So maybe the belief is that a part of you believes that by spending time and having a stable income, I can better balance my life. So maybe it's not that we have all the answers right now. But actually, by just changing and having that belief that you believe that you are worth having a balanced life, so that you can, having a stable income means that you can have a more balanced life and help others better. Perhaps that's a good starting point for you. How does that feel?
I think it's just I think I'm battling with that feeling of selfishness, because I get attacked by other members of my family if I'm not showing up. For,
I get that.
I think people use guilt to manipulate a lot, and I'm easily manipulated, and that's something I have to work on.
So how about if every time you feel that attack, or that part of you feels guilty for not being there 100% of the time with everybody else, that you then revisit your belief of, I am worth making sure that I have more stability in my income, so that I can, when I am with them, I can be with them 100%. So that I'm not with them 100% of the time, but when I am spending time with my mum, I'm 100% with her, and not stressing about how I'm going to be able to afford this, that, and the other this month. And just reminding yourself, and I think I'm going to come on to this in a minute, but I think it would definitely be worth having some trigger stimuli around you all the time to help cement this belief in for you. And in fact, I'm going to move on to that now, because I think it would make a real big difference for you in particular, but for everybody, hopefully. So I'm just going to scroll up. So I wanted to kind of chat about the conscious and the subconscious mind. just to kind of give a little bit of background to it, I guess. So our conscious mind, aka the frontal lobe, is the reasoning part of our brain. It's where we think, analyse, overthink, incessantly spin from thought to thought every second that we're awake. And it actually doesn't fully develop until, and this completely blew my mind, sometime around 25 to 30 years old. Now, it used to be that we thought that this part of the brain, right at the front in the forehead, is just behind your forehead, that this used to develop around puberty, but within recent studies in the last year, they now think that it actually doesn't fully develop until you're around 25, 30 years old. Our subconscious mind, on the other hand, is fully developed the moment that we arrive. So it's the part of the brain that is all about feelings and instincts, and where we store all early outside information. So the subconscious mind believes everything. It doesn't know the difference between what's true and what's not true. If your parents told you that you're a bright superstar, you believe them and go out seeking for ways to showcase your shininess. If you tell a 5-year-old girl she's stupid and insignificant, even if she's taught herself Mandarin and can play the piano like Elton John, she probably won't ever share her amazing skills with the world. I mean, if we really think about it, we all believe that old guy in a red suit came down the chimney to give us prezzies. And we build up most of our beliefs within the first few years of our lives when we were kids and didn't know any better, because our frontal lobe hadn't yet fully formed to then analyse and check, do I actually believe this? We take in all of the information via words, smiles, frowns, raised eyebrows, raised voices, heavy sighs, tears, laughter, etc., of everyone around us with zero filtering. And what goes in becomes our truth and our beliefs. And if you just think any time that the amount of people we've interacted with within the first 25 to 30 years of our life is pretty astonishing. And so every time you tearfully ask yourself, WTF is my problem, the chances are the answer lies somewhere in some lame, limiting belief that you hold on. Because our analytical frontal lobe wasn't around to reason with our zero filter, squishy subconscious mind, it's digested everything at face value. So, for example, if your dad was a low-down cheating scumbag and neglected you and your mom, your subconscious mind might have interpreted that as, I'm not worth love, and intimacy leads to pain and tears. And if left unquestioned, it can leave you as an adult bouncing between one dead-end relationship and the next. Or let's say you want to travel the world, but your subconscious mind holds the belief that fun is irresponsible, therefore you won't be loved, then it will pretty much leave your passport totally blank. And maybe your subconscious mind thinks I'm a hot and sexy mama, I want to get it on. But then if your subconscious mind believes that sexual or physical pleasure is shameful, you're probably not going to get any of this steamy stuff anytime soon. It nearly always boils down to two key fears: not being loved or not belonging. And your mind will go full on lioness mama on you if it feels that you're taking action that could leave you feeling abandoned or alone. Its main job is to keep you safe, and this is why we self-sabotage. But sometimes it's a belief that you've outgrown or that no longer serves you. So let's say you found yourself a fabulous new job, you're earning the big bucks and feel like an absolute hero. But if there's a part of you that holds on to the belief that money doesn't grow on trees, and if you make too much of it, you'll be abandoned by someone you love, or that you're not smart enough, or maybe that you're getting too big for your boots, and if you earn more than your partner, then they'll end up resenting you because they are patterns and behaviors you've seen from other people, then you can bet your lioness mama will kick in without you even realizing it, and it will protect you by helping you sleep through your alarm, making you late for the most important meeting of the year, or you have writer's block when you're trying to finish the editorial of a major project, or a plethora of other very frustrating ways. So don't get me wrong, you have plenty of fabulous beliefs that have helped lead you to being the awesome human being that you all are today. And this is by no means a blame your mum and dad rant, because like I said before, we have been interacted with so many people within the first 25 years of our life, from teachers, other kids at school, other mums and dads, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, etc. So this is about kind of recognizing any potential sabotaging beliefs you may have, so that you can actually tackle them head on. So, self-sabotaging. I want you to have a little think about what belief that you have that will try and sabotage your goal. And actually, this is exactly what you were just doing, Maria, that there's a part of you that believes that you need to be there for your family at all times. Or as an example, that was what my interpretation of it, it might not feel exactly the same, but that was my perception of it. So I want you to just have a little moment and think about what belief that you have that is resisting your goal. So that might try and sabotage your commitment, your aspiration. And then I want you to think about, how does that belief benefit you? Because there is part of you, your lioness mama part, which is using that to protect you, to keep you safe. So I really want you to think about, what is it that it's actually trying to achieve? And you can also potentially think about, where does this belief come from and what makes this belief true? So just take a couple of minutes to kind of think about, what is it that you might believe that will sabotage this? So what is a contradicting belief potentially?
Becky, do you mind just repeating some?
What was that, Kelly? Sorry.
Sorry, do you mind just repeating? You know, you elaborated a little bit on the sentences. I was just writing them down, so I didn't take it all in. Do you mind just repeating?
That's okay. I mean, I hadn't written them down, so I'll just try and remember what I said. I think I said something like, so what belief do you have that will try and sabotage this goal? So there's probably a resistance to your goals. There's another part of you that might believe either the opposite, or that it might believe it might not be directly contradicting, but it might be going against what your goal is. So just to use Maria as an example, when she was saying that her goal is that she wants to have a more stable income, one of her sabotaging beliefs that's going to be the opposite almost, is that if she puts time and energy into creating a fabulous business that's going to provide her a stable income, then she'll be neglecting her family. And that will be a sabotaging goal, which will mean that when somebody does call, she's going to be like, actually, I'm gonna go and see that other person, because there's a part of her that believes that that is the right thing to do. Does that make sense, Kelly? Yeah. So it's just kind of recognizing what belief that you have that might try and sabotage what you do, and then acknowledging it and recognizing, how is it benefiting you? Is it making you feel good? Is it keeping you in victim? Is it meaning that you don't take risks so that you keep safe? These kind of things. And then once you've written out what your sabotaging belief is, or what your belief is that could sabotage it, I want you to then write next to it, or say out loud if you wish to, I encourage it obviously, thank you for protecting me and doing your best to keep me safe. This belief is no longer serving us for the better. So I'll just say that again, and say it with love. Thank you for protecting me and doing your best to keep me safe. This belief is no longer serving us for the better. And so we want to now reinforce the new, positive, fabulous belief. And one of my fave ways to install a new key belief is by rinsing and repeating. So, by repeating your new belief like a mantra all day, every day, it will start to ingrain as a new way of thinking. And it's said that the best time to do this is the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night, because it's believed to be the time when we're closest to switching off our conscious mind and seeping and engaging our subconscious mind. For me personally, I forget first thing in the morning, but I do try and do it last thing at night. The other different ways that have worked really well for me that I wanted to share with you in hope that they might work well for you, and you're welcome to write these down, use one of them, use all of them, whichever works for you. So when I have created a new belief that I want to have, that I want to install in my subconscious so that it becomes the overriding belief, and that my self-sabotage belief becomes smaller because I'm repeating and believing my new fabulous belief more. So a bigger part of me believes my new fabulous belief, and a smaller part of me believes my sabotaging belief. So ways that have worked really well for me is by setting triggers around the house. So putting post-it notes on your fridge, in your bathroom cabinet, in your knicker drawer, places that you go every day and see all the time, so that it reminds you to repeat it. So it reminds you to repeat your mantra. I've also repeated it over and over and over again when I've gone for walks. So if I'm walking around a block, I'll try and say it the entire way around the block through every step, just saying it mentally, or saying it out loud if I'm feeling particularly brave that day. Or I do it when I'm in the car. I find what works for me is that I sing it sometimes, by saying it, whispering it, shouting it, singing it, repeating it whilst dancing in the shower. The more you say it, the more feelings you have with it, the more owning you have of it, the more likely that it will go in. I do highly recommend doing it whilst dancing in the shower and saying it whilst whispering and shouting it at the same time, because when I've actually done that, and I found myself laughing about it and just having like this joy with it. It cements, because joy and love is such a powerful emotion. If we say it with a strong emotion, it's way more likely to sink in and become a new belief and a new way of thinking and a new way of believing for you. So I'm going to shuffle over. So the next up on our layer, and I do recognise we're getting quite close to the end. So if you do need to duck out, don't worry, I will be able to send you the remainder. I think we will run over a little bit. I'll send you the remainder of the recording for you so you can catch up if you do need to leave. So what new behaviour would you like to create to achieve your goal? So I want you to think about what behaviours you might have seen somebody else who has achieved a similar goal to you do. So if, for example, let's go with the idea of you're wanting to get into shape, you're wanting to climb to the pole every single, within 30 days, then a behaviour that you've seen is that perhaps actually, oh, well, the person in the class who I now go to class with, they go to class 3 times a week and they've been able to climb the pole. Okay, I'm actually going to go to class more consistently. I'm going to make sure I definitely go to 3 classes a week and also have a stretch session, for example. So you've seen the habit of somebody else who has achieved what you want to achieve, and you want to then adopt the same habits that you see. Or if you see, I almost like to think of it as if I'm going to be the type of person who achieves that, then what would that type of person do? So if I want to lead a healthy life where I've got an active body which stays in shape, I'm just going to keep going with this example, then the behaviours I would see is I'm going to get up and I'm going to have a nice big breakfast. Whereas the behaviours or habits of someone who perhaps isn't leading as a healthy life might skip breakfast, grab a coffee, then by 11 o'clock they're starving, so they run round and grab some McDonald's because it's close by. So that would be a habit that somebody has got, and the having a breakfast in the morning is just a different habit and a different behaviour. So I want you to kind of think about, what new behaviours do you need to see in yourself? And then this one is super important. How will you acknowledge yourself for creating your new behaviours? Because I'm very much a believer that there's an inner child in me. And if I don't acknowledge my inner child for the hard work, and I'm just telling it to do this, do that, do this, and then I give myself no reward, I give myself no celebration, how is your inner child going to feel? It's probably not going to want to carry on doing it for very long, because and then your self-sabotaging is more likely to come back into play. So you want to think about how you can acknowledge, reward, celebrate the behaviours that you're doing. And also think about who else can support you to keep these behaviours. So an example that I wanted to give from myself. So for me, when I first started running and setting up the pole studio, my belief was, or I wanted to have the behaviours of a successful businesswoman. And I thought that could mean, right, I'm going to have to get up really early. So I'm going to get up at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or whenever it was. And I'm going to have do a run first thing in the morning, have breakfast. And so to help me keep that behaviour, because I considered successful people do that, they get up, they exercise first thing, they do a bit of yoga, they have a nice healthy breakfast. So actually I want to then pattern that so that I can then start my day feeling energized. So the person, lovely Matthew, he would be my alarm clock, because it was when he would get up for work, I just asked him to make sure he opened the curtains so that I would then wake up at the same time. So the person, you want to find somebody who might be able to help you and help keep you accountable. I no longer wake up at 6 a.m. though, and I'm fine with that. So whilst we build up our new belief, we might still have some sabotaging behaviours. So what sabotaging behaviour might you see in yourself? And what can you do to help yourself get out of these behaviours? Does anybody have any questions on this? Because this one is, I think, quite a biggie. Well, they all are, obviously. Okay. Are we all good to move on?
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay, so next up is our final layer in our triangle, and it is action. So what consistent actions can you take to move forward towards your goal? And then I want you to think of one thing that you could do right now. And then I want you to do it. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be that you schedule time in your diary, or you send yourself an email to remind you to contact that person. So what consistent actions can you take? And consistency is key. So think about whether it's an action that you could be taking every day, every week, every month, to keep you moving forward. And then maybe an acknowledgement of that action and of your behaviour is that at night you remind yourself and say thank you to yourself. Thank you for doing X, Y, and Z today. That is progress. That is moving forwards. It doesn't mean that we have to celebrate when we've achieved the goal. And this really shifts it from being a feeling like we've got a chance of failure in there. It's not about have we achieved this, have we not achieved this. It's about you've made progress every single time you do something towards it. Every action that you take is moving you forward, growing and getting closer and aspiring and inspiring probably at the same time by doing it and sharing your light with others. Just a little important note on action. You don't need all of the answers or the whole plan mapped out. Most answers only reveal themselves through doing, not thinking. So for example, if we were going to go on a physical journey, so we're all going to go over and see Erin in Wales, or actually you're coming over to us, over to me in London, Erin, for your example, you only need to know where you are now and where you want to get to. So point A and point B. You don't need to know every single turn, every road sign that you're going to pass, any detour that you might be going on. And it's the same with this kind of journey. You don't need to know, you don't need to map out every single step along the way to achieve your goal. You only need to think about what is the next best step for me to take. And then once you've done that one, then, okay, now I'm in this place. What is the next best step for me? How are you guys doing? Have you been able to do something to create an action? Yes, lovely. And
yes,
thanks, Erin. And lovely kitty cat there as well. He's so soft. Oh, all good. Lovely. I can see smiles and thumbs up. Oh, you're good to move on, Kelly? You're good? Yeah, fab. Okay. So what I want us to do to finish off our little session is I want you to imagine yourself that you're 10 years older. So it's the year 2030. As the older, wiser, more experienced future you, I want you to write a letter to yourself now, giving yourself what your future you wants you to know right now. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that, and then I'm going to share with you what mine was that when I wrote mine out. If anyone's struggling with this, then feel free to ask away any questions that you might have. Lovely. I'll give you a few more seconds and then I'm going to read out mine, and it might inspire you to add a little bit extra or not, or take something out, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to read you mine. So mine starts with acknowledging how old I'm going to be. So I'm 39, nearly 40, and it's the year 2030. Dearest Becky, I would love you to know that you are so capable of anything you put your mind to. Go get stuck in and go live your life to the fullest. You want to go on that hot air balloon ride? Do it. You won't regret it. Go live large and in charge. Everything sorts itself out. Make paths, make waves, and get the energy flowing. You are going to have the best 10 years of your life. It's your 30s. We made it. Go have fun. Be adventurous. See the world. Create an empire. You can handle it all. Forgive yourself quickly and re-tap into your awesomeness. Take risks. Don't play it safe. Travel. Have fun. Give to charity. Volunteer. Make it happen. I'd love you to start taking more action and spend less time worrying. Just do it. I'd love you to remember you only have the one life, so make every day count. And I'd love you to focus on the joy and the fun. Thank you for being so awesome. I love you always deeply, Becky. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Cutie patootie that I am. Thanks for the applause there, Erin. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'd actually love it if you would read your letter out loud. Now, I know this can feel like a really hairy, scary thing to do, but...
Oh, fuck.
Exactly. But we are in a supportive group, and I think we should all pledge a promise that we're not going to judge anybody else or think anything other than love and admiration and courage to each and every single person who reads it out. If you do genuinely really struggle with the idea, then I will accept that, but I do really encourage you to do it and say it out loud. And the reason why is you're not saying it to us, you're saying it to a part of you, and by vocalizing it, that part of you tends to hear it a little bit better. Would anybody like to start? If not, I will just pinpoint you. But if anyone's feeling brave and they want to go ahead, then feel free. Okay, great. Oh, was that a movement? No, okay. I'm going to ask Erin, would you like to share yours?
Can I just go next? I'm just sort of having a bit of an exchange with my housemate about lunch.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Shalali, how are you feeling about going first?
Okay, I'll do this. Okay, fine.
Got this.
So yeah, 2020, 33-year-old Shalali. So dear younger 23-year-old Shalali, some things, feelings, peace may seem impossible to achieve, especially because you're unable to relate, feel, fathom it right now, but it is possible. Give it a chance, chip at it, and you will surprise yourself with results. Prove yourself wrong. There's a lot to learn and learn. Carry on as the way you are. You're doing fine.
Beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if you can see, but I can see other people clapping you as well. Really good, very brave, very courageous, and full of love. Well done, you, Shalali.
Thank you.
Okay, Kelly, how about yourself? Are you okay to go next? You're still on mute, by the way. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, good. Can I just read some points of it? So it won't be like the long letter. It's not long anyway, but it won't be the full letter. It'll just be like some sections of it.
Sure.
Dear Kelly, it's the year 2030. I'm now 44. Don't wait. Take the actions. Everything else will take care of itself. All the in-betweens will be clear once you're taking the necessary actions. All your obstacles are small things. The people around you that you feel problems with are minor. You have your children and you are still feeling youthful and active and you don't care about your age. And then I took a few of yours, Becky. Travel, take risks, take more action. So I think with the children thing, that was more because sometimes I worry about, because I don't have any at the moment, but I definitely want to have one day. So sometimes I worry about doing the things I still want to do, and then how would that come into it? So I just think, well, you've got some children later, so don't worry about that. Just get on with what you want to do.
Good. Love it. Well done, Kelly. Really good. Erin, have you sorted out your quibbles with lunch?
Yes.
Good.
So mine says, dearest Erin, I would love you to know that you have not gone unnoticed. The hard work, the drive and the vision that you hold, but also your heart, your courage and your kindness too. We, together, over the past 10 years, have been able to create more income, be more in charge of our life, and we have found success. This is true, but more importantly, we have made sure that we continue to find the fun in whatever we do, and all in all, generally, we are always very happy and enjoying life. Thank you for being kind to yourself. Thank you for connecting with your inner child, and thank you for always noticing and acknowledging you and us. Much love, Erin, age 38.
Beautiful. Very nice, Erin. Gorgeous stuff. Sarah, over to you, my love.
Oh, mine's very short. I will be 51, which is very scary. Dearest Sarah, I hope you have embraced new passions and opportunities. I hope in your heart and in your head you have found freedom. I would love you to know that you are beautiful inside and out, and you have done so well to heal yourself. Carry on being kind to yourself and letting go of the things you no longer need.
Gorgeous. Beautiful. Really nice, Sarah. Thank you. Maria, babe, how are you and how is your letter?
Oh, where am I? Oh, yeah, I never really got that far. It kind of disturbs me, but I just wrote, dearest Maria, brackets 58 years old. I think I'm the oldest one here. I would like you to know that you were always too hard on yourself, which blocked you from giving light to others who, like yourself, are an expression of this earth. Luckily for you, this was something your consciousness became aware of, and you finally managed to turn things around. And then I just was going to explain how I turned things around, but never got that far.
Oh, okay. Is there anything that's come to your mind straight away that you think this is going to be one of them?
I don't know. I think I've always loved teaching, and I think helping people feel a safe, giving them a safe space to express themselves, I think has been an important thing for me, because obviously I was teaching creative things always. That's it really. I mean,
I love it. And you can always add to it and finish off any extra bits that you wanted to do. Yeah, really nice, Maria. Thank you. Rochelle, how is your letter?
Dearest Rochelle, it's okay not to have everything figured out. You can't change the past, but you can learn from it. at 35, trust me, you'll barely remember it. You'll barely remember it at all. Do what makes you happy, put yourself first, and don't give a shit about what anyone else thinks. And the next part is a quote that's always stuck with me. We cannot live with regret when we live with honesty and integrity. You did the best that you could with everything that you had. You've made it further than we ever thought, and you've challenged yourself in ways you've never imagined. There's so much to be proud of if you just let yourself see it.
That's beautiful. I didn't clap for yours and Sarah's either. Big claps to everyone. That's beautiful, Sarah.
So lovely.
It really was. And Mama B, last up. Last but certainly by no means least.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Now, I did have problems with mine because whilst that was going on, your sister was trying to get Jeff's attention so she could be taken to a protest. So it's all sort of going on in the background and I'm trying to ignore them and let them sort it out.
Okay.
But I did make a start.
Okay.
Now, I would be my 65-year-old self at that point because I'll be 55 next week. So it's more of a feeling of looking back, I felt, on my life. And it was, interestingly, I put, "Dear Rachel, you have tried to be a good mum," but I then scribbled out "tried" and put, "Dear Rachel, you have been a good mum, daughter, friend, colleague, and boss. You are a good, hard-working person, and you've made a positive difference in the world. You have been and continue to be loved. You can be proud. Love from Rachel."
That's beautiful and well corrected. Really nice. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done to everyone. I'm really proud of you guys going into it with full gusto and giving it your all. And that comes to the end of our session. So I hope that you've found it helpful, found it beneficial, and that you feel good and excited and more energized to go out and actually go after what it is that you're aspiring and committing to do. So on this note, does anybody have any other questions or anything that they would like to add?
No, I found it really helpful.
Yeah, I thought it would be quite good to have like a follow-up session to see how we've got on with our goals.
Do you know what? I thought about that. I thought about maybe like popping everyone in a WhatsApp group and just texting them all next week and going, how is everyone getting on with the first week in, and see how you go. So if you guys would like me to do that, just drop me a message. I've got all of your numbers anyway, I think. Actually, Kel, I don't know if I've got yours.
I think it'd be quite a nice sort of catch up maybe in a month's time or in 6 weeks' time to see if we've actually gone,
keep you accountable. Yeah. And then you can then revisit it and go, oh, actually, I've been doing that. I've done that. Give yourself acknowledgement. Okay, what's my next best step? How do I shift this forward and move forward again? Because like we say, it's not about, as I'm always saying, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's about the growth of getting there. It doesn't matter.
We might realise as we're going along, actually things come up and we feel differently about different things, and our goals might change within a month. Who knows?
Yeah. I would love if you keep your triangle. So let me slide. So I ended up writing mine not in a triangle, but if you keep yours, then you can go back to it and see, like, even if you, I remember going back to some of my goals that I wrote 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh, got that, done that, now I've got that. Oh my God, like, it's incredible how much you can realize what you've achieved by then looking back and actually acknowledging it. So yeah, I think that's a lovely idea. Thanks, Sarah. I will get on it for you. Right, well, anyway, I do apologise that it did go over. Hopefully it's not been too inconvenient for you all. But thank you again for your time and your energy and your support with the whole group. It's been really inspiring, actually. Thank you. And I will catch up with you guys when I see you all next.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.